Junk Ass Engineering. Good engineering. And that's all I got to say about that, Captain Dan. Well, this is the next step on my illustrious journey of straightening and welding and fabricating. This is going to be fun. I have to pull all this metal here back to here and weld it so it's actually a square tube again, and it's double walled, so there's a bottom wall. It's two pieces of tube is what it is. There's a bottom piece and the top piece, and actually it's U-channel is what it really is. U-channel welded together to make this tongue. Well, this is all torn to pieces and it's weak, super weak. So, and this side is the same way, it's all bent in. So that's not going to be a whole lot of fun. Heat it up with the torch, pretty much bring it back to where it was, and start welding parts of it together to hold it together. Well, I get the bottom half, same thing. This bottom half here is all curled in, right in here on either edge, right there and right there. So yeah, these have to go back over here somewhere. So that'll be fun. But once it's all done, I'm going to weld this. I'll put a stitch weld on the end here between these two pieces, so this will never happen again anyway. Or if you do jackknife it that bad, but this is really badly jackknifed. Most guys would take and torch this thing off and put a whole new nose on it, but I don't want the trailer to be any shorter than what it is. The tongue having a longer tongue is not a bad thing, especially if you try to back up. But I keep this little demonstration of stupid going on here, on how this is just so you got a baseline for what you're going to see when I'm done. I'll be back like it never happened. No, that was a bunch of torch work. There's some welding that has to be done yet, and the bottom's pretty messed up, but no big deal. I'll take care of all that shortly. But I wanted to do this cute little thing here, and you want this to fit tight. There we go, pounded on, but kinda needs a couple more little love taps. There we go. There, now. So that fits tight and square and not crooked and not twisted and not tweaked. So, cool! Now to weld up some of the carnage in there and grind that off and make all these pieces fit together on the bottom side. Okay, you remember that twisted tongue? Well, don't twist the tongue anymore. And that rig rip that was in here, that's gone. And how it was tore loose here, that's completely welded back together, which this angle doesn't do that well justice. I should just rotate this thing if I can. Not very good one-handed with a long ass tongue held to my bench. I usually have a stand over there too, generally speaking. Let me do this safe. I'll be right back. And we're back. Okay, this whole thing was tore off of here, roughly, and that was like gone. And that weld was good, still, but still hanging in there. But all this had to be straightened and re-seamed and back together, and that's still kind of warm. And did the same thing over here. Could grind a little of that off if I wanted to be really Miss Fancy, but I might finish it up slightly. But that's actually really nice weld under there. Just looks not that great. And this one here is actually better than what it looks. I don't know, my finger can't. The important thing was that I had to bond. I had to get rid of the crack because there was a crack in here too. So this thing is cracked all to hell all over the place. And this one here had a huge crack running along from here all the way along here, and I ended up doing a lap weld on this, so a weld down the center, one on either side, because the material was so fragile. And then I ground that off slightly and there was a purpose, which I'll show you in a second. Okay, so the problem was this had to be ground down some because it has to be really flat with this, and this has still got a little bit of a bow to it, but there's a reason, because this is no longer going to be tack welded on the back side, which I am shocked as hell that this thing didn't snap off of here a long time ago. And I've got to take and clean this up a little bit right here yet, but that was all gone and cracked all the way back into here. And this was, big huge chunk of this was gone, if you remember. That's been refilled. I could run another lap weld right over this little spot right here and purdy it all up. I might do that. Yeah, then there's no grading involved, and the stronger it is, the happier I am. This really serves no purpose anymore, because this boat will never not have a never have a tongue jack on it. It'll always have a tongue jack. But there's a purpose for all this, because this is going to go on here, and actually I should do this different, but this fits up tight to here. Yeah, I should be doing this different. So that's going to fit on there, and it fits nice and snug. Then this is going to get drilled and bolted this time, not welded. So this is going to have 1/2-inch holes punched in here, and I don't know why my camera's all blurred up. It's stupid. Come on, get it together. Hello. So anyway, there'll be 1/2-inch holes going through here with bolts all the way through. Now, remember what I showed you on how I did the other stuff? You'll crush this tube, and it'll keep getting looser unless you got something on the inside to hold it. Now, getting this back one back in there to get that through the tube is a royal pain in the ass, unless you got a long needle, and I happen to have one of those, which works pretty good. So that's going to have a shoulder inside of it, like I showed you with the little ones I made so it doesn't crush the tube. That's going to have a shoulder on that, so it don't crush the tube, and it's super tight, and it will, you're going to have to snap the damn thing off back here. And if you snap it off back here as strong as I made this, you got a lot bigger problems. Yeah, I think I'd be calling the insurance company, because whatever this trailer was towing, it ain't there no more. Still stuck to the front of the train. Yeah, so I'll be back in a second here once I flip this thing again. I just can't do it one-handed. And we're back. Okay, so my camera doesn't want to focus. It's probably dirty from all the dust and dirt and everything else that's been slinging around here. And hey, that worked. Blow the dust off. Okay, so as you can see, this is sitting down perfectly flat, and none of this is distorted anymore, and it's just doing what it's supposed to do, and that's what this is going to look like. Now, some guys just weld here, fill this hole and weld here, but this is all getting painted. So I want to bolt this on afterwards, because it's a shiny pretty thing. And there's going to be a lot of shiny pretty things in this trailer, to be quite honest. You should be able to go to any boat show and win a trophy when I'm done with this thing. Maybe even best trailer, if that's a class. So, all the debauchery is done. All of it's gone. And let's see if I can snap this guy off of here, because I just popped it on there with my hands. It fits that flawlessly, and as you can see, that looks really, really good. That's like it never happened, like I said before. So, yeah, this was really bad. I would have cut it off and saved time and chopped it off and lost 4 inches and started over, but there was this thing on the bottom, and I didn't feel like fighting all that through the bandsaw and everything else. I could have done it that way, and it would have saved the guy time, but it's not restoring. I restore things. I fix them, make them better, and so that's what I do. Anyway, just going to stop on all this, because this has gone as far as it can go. This will just get 2 holes drilled in it, and this part will go off to get sandblasted. So we're done with this. Next time you see it, it'll be hanging in a paint booth, getting some white paint slathered all over it. Well, sealer and then white paint. All this stuff and all these welds and stuff, this is all hidden by that hitch, so that doesn't really matter. It just needed to be structurally strong, and that's it. So the next step of this is to punch them 2 1/2-inch holes on either side. And I suggest, if you're going to do this, you put that part on, clamp it in place, because that's exactly how I'm going to do it. So put that on, clamp it in place, then drill the holes, because you got a perfect template right there. Then drill your 1/2-inch holes on either side. So this one, flip it over, do the other 2, and then the holes will be perfectly lined up, because those were stamped in a jig. So they're going to line up perfectly. So there's another thing I found too that I thought was kind of interest, which there was a hole here and I was going to weld it shut, but then I started thinking, you know what, I bet at one point in time they ran a wiring harness through this. That's where the wiring harness went through on the factory trailer, which I'm sure it's been replaced. Usually they stick out underneath here, and I'm torn whether I'm going to have it hang out underneath or go through this hole, which doesn't really matter to me, one way or the other. The reason you go through this hole is so if you do jackknife it, it doesn't shear off your wires. But I'm quite positive Tony will never, ever, ever, ever do that. So I'll probably just, out of simplicity, run the wiring harness through here, the safety chains bolt on here and here, or they can bolt on the back side too, for that matter. That's drilled or punched too, so they could go on that side. So however that works, probably going to keep it towards the forward because I made that really strong. That's where they were bolted on, but I've already talked to Tony and we're replacing the safety chains because they're just old, rusty, nasty things, and I'm just going to buy brand new ones. They're not expensive. So I don't think that was all that expensive either. But also, this was 1 7/8 originally that was on here, and everything Tony has is 2-inch. So we've upgraded this trailer to a 2-inch ball, so he doesn't have to go running around changing his receiver all the time. So anyway, that's enough of this. This part is more or less done. I'm not going to show you with a bunch of holes drilled in it because that'd be stupid. So moving along, this trailer project is pretty much almost in the bag here. There's a couple more pieces that got to get fitted and welded and things like that, but we'll go from there. Yeah, so any questions, drop a comment. I'll be back. So that's done, except for putting those pieces there in, which I'll do that on the welding bench. And this side's done, except for putting those pieces in on the welding bench wherever the other one wandered off to, and clean up the mess, because I swear to God I spend more time doing that. Then rip this apart. And by the way, those rivets are ridiculously hard. I swear to God, they're leftovers from the fucking Titanic, because it took forever to grind the heads off of them. Holy Christ. And the other thing I'm going to bring up too is I made the comment earlier in another video, or maybe this one, about these being aluma coated. I'm going to bring up you need to wear something, because that's aluminum oxide when it burns. And so if you look around the welds, you'll see like a white spot. That's aluminum oxide burning off. Well, you can see it right around there. Okay? That is very bad to breathe. As bad as galvanized, because that's another oxide that's really bad for you. If you weld on galvanized, you're an idiot. Well, you can weld on galvanized all day long if you're wearing a mask, but don't breathe that crap. So, wanted to get a warning in there on that. I wanted to show everybody what this thing looks like from the front. Quick. That's just 7 ways of straight and sexy, and oh God. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag who's going to get what colors, but this side too. I mean, everything's straight now. It's symmetrical. It's got gaps. It don't rub on stuff. It's welded solid, so it ain't going to break, you know, or crack or do weirdness. And welds are good. Focus! And that one, I don't know. Well, you'll see them later. because I've got to do the weld that's on the bottom side, and it's really stupid to do overhead welding when you don't have to. Like I said, I got to put these wherever the hell they went. There's the shims that go inside of here. Those got to be tack welded in there. So I got to take this all apart, which is time for it to come all apart. Frame's going to go out the door to the blaster. And I'm going to work on the axle and springs and wheels and get all that stuff apart. Make sure the bearings are good. I'm going to get it all cleaned up and then sandblast the axle and spring set and paint that in a satin black. And that will be happening next. Basically, everything's going to paint on this project at this point. So whatever's getting painted, whatever color, is going to paint. Sandblast, body work, like that. So those are perfect. And then going to paint. So that's the next step. And then at the same time, this stall will probably have a boat hanging in it too, because I want to do the hull work. And that's kind of in the way. That has to go to a whole nother part of the shop, which is kind of a mess at the moment. You know, like over there, welding things everywhere, and that's got to all get picked up. And then there's what's going on behind curtain number 1. I wish it was going to be dry for like a week. I'd throw everything out in the driveway or out in the yard here and completely redo this whole back wall, because I've been wanting to do that for so long, except I don't have any help. And this requires assistance. These are heavy things, and doing it by yourself is just asking for trouble. I'm going to throw that chair away, I swear. I've been trying to throw that away for years. It just keeps coming back in the shop. I don't understand what's going on there. Somebody's haunting me. Yeah, I don't have anything more to say on the trailer other than it's done. By the time you guys see this, I will be a long ways further ahead on this project. So that's how that works, because I don't edit videos as much as I probably should. I could do videos, several videos a day, and then, yeah, I just don't have the time. But I'm really happy with how this turned out. I'm pretty sure Tony's going to be tickled to death on how this has turned out. Oh, the step pads also will get drilled. The rights and lefts will get drilled. And there's a little trick I want to show you on that. So you'll see that coming up next too. So I'll be back. Well, so we're going to finish on this note. Well, we got a whole bunch of stuff here that's laying here. I got to drill that yet. I'm going to take that with me. Anyway, frame's ready to go off to get sandblasted, other than taping off the part we covered. That's going to go out and get sandblasted. I have a really huge problem with my compressor, which, you know, I'll have to do a video short on it, because I think I have a crank bearing going bad in this triple cylinder monster that feeds this place. Yeah, it's huge. Huge, noisy, and shakes the earth. And when it's coming out of balance, it shakes the earth even more. Anyway, these pieces also are all welded and ready to go. And ready to be out sandblasted and what have you. And not sure which one's what here, but I got a feeling that this goes to that one. I gotta find these, because I wanted to drill these before I finished up this process of painting, sending everything off to paint, and wanted to show these welds here. I just tacked it here, left the end open, and went to tack it here, and guess what? Turn this on. Ran out of wire. So kind of need this stuff. So we'll have to go fetch some more of that. By the way, I was thinking, oh, I'm going to make it. Because that's how much gas I had left. Like fumes. So I might as well pick that up while I'm there. Good thing I'm good on torch gas after all that tongue work. But not to go without being undone here about things. These are the brackets that hold the springs. And as you can see, that's a really nice bracket, but they're rusty and they were white. And so I guess they're going to go back to being white. But the other side, well, wait a minute, which side's which here? This side is in excellent shape. It is this side that you can't really see. Maybe, oh, there you go. Yeah, somebody decided at some point in time to totally distort this piece and crank it down as tight as they could get it, almost ruining the bushing and literally making it very difficult to work properly. So that'll have to get heated up and torched and brought back to where it belongs. And they also bent the damn bolt too in the process. So whoever did that, yeah, Tony's going to thank you properly. Okay, I'm going to take this opportunity to show off this weldment because this did get done, and it is done. And as you can see, I left a spot there for the bolt to sit in. And hopefully you can see the slider that's tacked welded in there. That's to make that a solid deal so that will not crush. And it's trying to focus on my thumb. Okay. Anyway, you can see it there. So you don't crush the tube. Not concerned about that one. Well, because it's damn near a foot away from the other one. But this one here also has a crush sleeve in it. So I'm going to call it. Let's see if I can get a better shot. Oh, there you go. Everything's backwards from whatever direction you're going to move. But you can see the crush sleeve in there. So it won't crush the tube. And you can tighten it down however tight you want it. Now, the front and the back to me seemed like the most important because that pinches it to these rails and the frame, and that seemed, and the only thing this thing does, in all honesty anymore, is holds the fender. And that's got a washer shim on it anyway, so you'd have to wank on it really hard to crush it. And so, and as you can see, my welds here, with this tube, you know, on the back side, they came out pretty good here. Let me try to hold the camera properly. And when you're there, stop moving. Anyway, so everything's all welded up, ready to go out to paint on that. And like I said, I was moments away. And so when you do these, if you put these in here, you got to put the bolt in the hole, okay? You got to make sure the bolt fits the hole. Have a die grinder handy so you can trim whatever you need. This had a ridge in here where the pipe was seamed, so that had to be cut out of there. This has also got the sleeve is welded in. Now I can see that. Oh, there you go. Sleeve is in both ends. Everybody fits happy on both ends. Let's go over here and, yeah, see, you can slide it in and out nice and nice. And like I said, I ran out of, well, me and Tony have this thing where it takes 3 things to do one thing. And so having to run off to make 2 little stupid welds here and here to finish this just gets my goat. Yeah. So then I got to clean up this mess. Then I got to clean up my other mess. Another thing is these guys with these perfect shops never get anything done, or they got a guy running around with a broom all the time because you make a mess. If you're doing work, you're building stuff, you're making messes. That's just the way it works. I would much rather to get everything going here to paint, and which it will be. So this is the end of this segment of fabrication. I'm not going to bother to do any more over 2 stupid welds. And all this stuff is headed off to get sandblasted, body prepped, fenders. They're going to get some body work done on them and perfect them. And everybody's going to be going into primers and epoxy primers and color. And so that's just a whole nother video segment, which I'm not going to put in the fabrication end of this. So this is the tail end of this. And I hope you enjoyed the fabrication of all this, the minor thing of drilling holes in boards, which who cares? So yeah, I'm not going to waste time on that. and those boards sit on there. So, not letting the cat out of the bag on what gets painted what color yet. You're just going to have to tune in and wait and see. So, like and subscribe. And yeah, I bought myself some more toys. By the way, that needler, if you work on muscle cars and you got to get rid of undercoating to do stuff underneath the car, that works amazing. You should own one. I finally broke down and bought one because I've got so much chassis work to do, and I'm tired of heating and scraping and guck and torch and yeah. And I saw a guy doing one of those, and so a needler is something you need. Also, finally broke down and bought some freaking shop skates. So, anyway, long story short, fabricating is done and over with, other than I've got some aluminum fabricating, which is going to be going into a whole different thing, and it has something to do with that. Not going to let the cat out of the bag on that either, but that has, I wish I wouldn't have laid it the other way so it leaked grease out the top. I guess it needs a shift shaft seal. But the prop shaft doesn't leak. Anyway, so I got to clean all that up. Never mind all that Evan Rudish stuff and Johnson stuff. That's to a whole nother pain in the ass project of making a long shaft a short shaft because that's what he wanted. So it's a display motor, I think. He doesn't have a use for it, but anyway. There's also exhaust welding for these tuner pipes for this Polaris. I'm going to just get all of this welding done and clean this crap the hell out of here. I'm tired of looking at it because I got a whole new crap pile that I will be cleaning out in the next 2 days. Yeah, because this is going to all have to change. Just too much stuff. So it's time to have less stuff. Like and subscribe. Never know what you're going to find. Anyway, we'll see you soon. And that smoking little beauty was supposed to be 2 1/8, and it was 1 7/8. So there's that. That was the last thing. I swear to God, I have to torch, straighten, weld, contort on this frame. I'm really ready to move on. And by the time you see this, I'll have already moved on. Just saying. Hey, I wanted to throw this in here because we're using composite wood, and we're also using these. Obviously, that's way too long, but we're also using stainless carriage heads. So this is not wood. The word wood shouldn't even be used in a sentence. They call it with composite wood, composite lumber. It is not wood. It is freaking plastic. That being said, when you drill your holes for your mounting, you get in there, you make a mark with your bolt with a hammer, and you get in there with your handy dandy power tool, with your little Dremel tool, die grinder, whatever you want to use. And you get in there and you cut your corners out so it fits. Okay? If you do not do this, more than likely you will break this plastic board when you try to tighten this up. Ask me how I know. Don't be like me. I learned this the hard way. So, just take and cut so they got the square slot already good to go, because this is, you know, plastic. It's not, that's why it doesn't rot. Wood, it would just move it aside and do everything else. Plastic, it's a composite. As you can see, it's a composite product, so it would just break, and that's bad. So, tech tip. Say goodbye, Mercury. Okay.